Ladies and gentlemen, happiness does not wait for your life to be perfect. It doesn't hold off until your career is secure, your savings are high, or the people around you act as you want them to. It doesn't promise to arrive on some future day when everything is ideal. If you keep living with the belief that when this happens, then I'll be happy, you're only delaying the chance to live fully right now. Many believe that by controlling circumstances, removing all problems, or reaching certain goals, happiness will follow. But that's an illusion because life is always changing. Those who tie their joy to external stability will eventually be disappointed. There are days when everything seems fine, yet you still feel empty. And there are chaotic days when you somehow feel at peace. That's because happiness isn't just a reaction to life's events, but a reflection of how you think, choose, and see the world. Happiness doesn't require perfection. It simply asks that you are present and show up for the moment as it is. When you stop chasing an impossible standard, you start seeing the real beauty in small, simple things happening around you. You can't force yourself to feel joy if you're caught in inner conflict, but you can choose actions, thoughts, and responses that bring you closer to peace. Happiness is not random. It is a skill that can be learned and strengthened just like a muscle. It grows through daily habits, through the way you talk to yourself, and the mindset you practice. Studies even show that a large part of happiness comes from lifestyle and attitude, not circumstances. You don't need a perfect life to feel fulfilled, but you do need the right mental tools and the discipline to use them every day. We often expect happiness to be loud and dramatic, like laughter or big achievements. But it's usually quiet. It's found in a slow morning with a warm drink, in finishing a task you've put off, or in noticing sunlight through leaves. These moments don't explode with joy, but they build up over time, creating a steady foundation within you. People say to live life to the fullest, but living fully isn't about doing huge things. It's about giving your whole attention and heart to the small ones. When you stop chasing big, flashy happiness and start appreciating the subtle rhythm of daily life, you realize it was never missing, only overlooked under layers of expectations. You don't need to fake strength or force a smile. You only need to stop letting negative thoughts rule your mind. By shifting your focus, you can turn an ordinary day into something meaningful. Not because the world has changed, but because you see it differently. Two people can face the same challenge, but one complains while the other is grateful. One blames while the other learns. One hides while the other faces it. And their experiences are completely different. The difference is not in what happens, but in how they move through it. You can't control everything outside of you, but you can shape how you respond. Happiness grows in that small space between what happens and how you choose to react. You don't need to wait for perfection to enjoy life, because life will never be perfect. Every moment carries its own quiet beauty if you're awake enough to notice. Happiness is not a prize for the winner, but the companion of the one who knows how to live. It's not a destination, but part of the path itself. If each day you choose one positive action, one open perspective, or one silent moment to truly hear yourself, you are already living in happiness, no matter where you are in life. So don't ask, how can I be happy? Instead, ask, how did I live today? Happiness is not hiding in the future. It breathes in the way you move through each moment. If you want to live fully, begin with the simplest act. Choose again how you see, how you think, and how you respond. From the first light of morning to the final quiet before sleep. Happiness is not luck falling from the sky. It comes from you, from the choices you make again and again. It is less about circumstances or genetics and more about the daily habits that shape your mind. Studies show that only a small part of happiness, about 10%, comes from things like money, success, or luck. Around half is genetic, a set emotional tendency. But the remaining 40% is yours to shape every day through your thoughts, actions, and mental patterns. This is not just comforting, it is empowering. If you can influence nearly half of your emotional life, why surrender that power to chance or to other people? We spend hours planning careers, saving money, and fixing appearances, yet we often leave our inner state to chance. We wait for someone to make us smile or for life to be kind before we allow joy. And when it doesn't happen, we blame the world. But the truth is, happiness doesn't belong to the world. It belongs to you, in the things you repeat deliberately. Each small act, each way you start the day, each word you speak in silence to yourself is shaping the tone of your entire life. Emotions are not accidents. They grow from a system of habits. If you react with anger or fear again and again, your brain will learn to live in that pattern. But if you practice gratitude, patience, and perspective, you begin to rewrite the pathways of your mind. This is not just philosophy, it's neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself through repetition. One person may wake up scrolling through their phone, feeling left out and unsettled, while another opens their eyes and simply says, "Thank you for another morning." One may rage at traffic while another turns the moment into a small ritual of listening to music or reflecting. These tiny differences repeated day after day create entirely different lives. Not because of luck, but because of habit. If you want to feel different, stop waiting for feelings to arrive on their own. Change the patterns you repeat. Every action sends a quiet message to your brain. This is who I choose to be. And your brain, loyal to your repetition, will build you into what you practice most. Happy people aren't always cheerful or endlessly optimistic. They simply do more of the things that keep them grounded, grateful, and connected. These things can be trained. Start with small habits that carry weight. Write 3 things you're grateful for at night. Spend 10 minutes in the morning without touching your phone. Respond with kindness instead of reflex. Walk instead of complain over time. These small acts soften the mind and open a new way of living. Real change does not come from one big moment of effort, but from the tiny quiet moments when no one is watching. You don't need a perfect plan. Just pick one small action and do it with intention. Each time you act like the person you want to become, you move closer to becoming that person. And here is the beautiful secret. Your brain doesn't distinguish between what you already are and what you are practicing to be. It simply records what you repeat. You can choose to stay asleep in old patterns, old reactions, and old fears. Or you can interrupt them with a single mindful choice, a new way of seeing, a different question. Every day is a chance to rewrite yourself, and no one can do it but you. Happiness, like any lasting treasure, is not built from wishes or dreams. It is built from what you choose to repeat. If you ask how to be happier, begin with a better question. What habit in me is feeding my unhappiness? Then change just one small habit. Because 40% of your emotional life, a huge portion is waiting for you to take control. No one can hold that for you, and no one can take it away if you truly claim it. Gratitude is not a polite reflex or a quick thank you said out of habit. It is not blind optimism that tries to paint every hardship in gold. Gratitude is a conscious way of being, a deliberate choice to see life with appreciation instead of complaint. In our fast-moving world, most people are not lacking good things. They are lacking the ability to notice them. This lack of awareness makes them live surrounded by abundance, yet still feel empty. They are not short of positive moments. They have simply stopped pausing to feel what matters. Gratitude will not erase difficulty, but it transforms the way you move through it. You can't avoid challenges, but you can focus on what still holds meaning, even when everything else feels broken. Being grateful does not mean denying pain. It means refusing to let pain define your entire reality. Negative emotions may rise, but gratitude pulls you back to your center, reminding you that no matter what happens, there is always something worth holding on to. A warm cup of tea, sunlight on your face, the sound of birds, a kind glance, a quiet morning. These simple things are easy to overlook, yet they are what keep us grounded when life spins too fast. Gratitude does not require big reasons. It only asks that you slow down enough to notice the small ones. When you practice gratitude, you do more than lift your mood. You reshape your nervous system. Science shows that people who practice gratitude daily have lower stress hormones, better sleep, stronger resilience, and a brighter outlook on life. Not because their lives are perfect, but because they have trained their minds to see differently. They don't search for complaints. They search for reasons to be thankful. And so they find them. Your perception is not absolute truth. It is a reflection of where your attention goes. Gratitude is how you train that attention. Many say the grateful when things improve. But the truth is things begin to improve the moment you practice gratitude. It's not that life changes overnight, but you do. Gratitude softens wounds, opens your heart to what once seemed small, and makes the ordinary feel alive. A grateful person isn't free from hardship. They simply refuse to let hardship overshadow everything else. You don't need to wait for something grand to start. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't need to be major achievements. Sometimes it's just the ability to breathe deeply, to walk in the rain, or to receive a call at the right moment. As you list these things, you'll see how generous life has already been. Writing them down wakes up a mindful mind, one that no longer rushes past life's quiet kindness. If writing isn't for you, speak your gratitude. Thank a co-worker who helped, a friend who listened, or even thank yourself for not giving up. Or spend a few minutes at night with your eyes closed, remembering 3 good moments from the day. Even this simple act rewires your emotional patterns, not through theory, but through the brain's own ability to adapt. Gratitude also melts feelings of comparison and envy. When you appreciate what you have, you no longer measure your worth by what others possess. You stop racing to catch up with someone else because you're already full. And that fullness does not come from things. It comes from awareness. Gratitude strengthens the bond you share with others. People are not deeply moved by your success, but by your sincerity. And gratitude is one of the purest forms of sincerity. It can be expressed not only through words, but also through action by helping someone without expecting anything back, writing a kind note, or sharing what you have. The more you live with gratitude, the more reasons you find to be grateful. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you create a cycle where kindness flows out and naturally returns. True gratitude is not reserved for the days when life feels perfect. It is most powerful when you have every reason to feel the opposite. When things fall apart, when you are hurting, when life no longer feels familiar. In those moments, gratitude's the thread that holds you together. It doesn't erase pain, but it prevents pain from erasing you. And that strength can be trained day by day with intention, present sincerity. Happiness is not a prize for those who succeed the most. It is the result of those who choose to live with gratitude. Change does not always require grand effort. Sometimes it is the small actions daily that create the deepest transformation. Gratitude journaling is one such action. It takes little time and almost no energy. Yet, it can completely shift the way you see the world and yourself. In a world full of noise and constant rush, the simple act of sitting down each day to write what you are grateful for is a way to reclaim your mind. It is not a shallow exercise, but a tool that rewires your awareness. It stops you from obsessing over what's missing and helps you notice what is already here. The human brain naturally pays more attention to the negative, a survival instinct called negativity bias. One harsh word can overshadow 100 kind ones. One bad moment can blur an entire day of good. While this instinct once kept us safe in modern life, it quietly robs us of contentment. Gratitude journaling helps rebalance this by dimming the weight of sorrow and sharpening the clarity of joy. All it takes is writing 3 things you are grateful for each day. They don't need to be big or impressive. In fact, the smaller the better. A comforting meal, a deep night's rest, a thoughtful message, or the way the sky glows in the evening. Writing them down makes your mind pause, reframe, and focus on what is enough instead of what is lacking. With repetition, this habit reshapes your inner world so it is no longer controlled by outside chaos. Something shifts when gratitude becomes a daily ritual. It's not just about feeling good while writing. It's about training your awareness to notice more of life's quiet beauty throughout the day. You become softer toward the world, more present, more open to the small wonders that were always there. This practice is especially powerful when life feels heavy or unclear, when loss makes meaning hard to find. In those moments, the simple act of writing even one thing that still warms your heart is a declaration of inner strength. You don't need anything fancy. A plain notebook, a pen that feels comfortable, and a few quiet minutes each day are enough. If writing by hand doesn't suit you, type it on your phone. What matters is not the method, but the consistency. Each time you write, you pause, realign, and remind yourself, I am still here. I still see goodness, and that is enough. Some people ask, what do I even have to be grateful for? But that very question shows where the shift needs to happen. It's not that life is empty of things to appreciate. It's that you've grown used to seeing only the flaws. When you commit to writing down 3 things each day, even if it feels unnatural at first, something begins to change. Within weeks, you become more observant, more emotionally aware, and kinder to yourself. Soon, you won't have to search for things to write. They'll naturally appear throughout your day. Gratitude journaling also gives you an emotional timeline. When hard days come, you can look back through old pages and see moments that once made you feel joy, warmth, or peace, even in small ways. If it happened before, it can happen again. You didn't lose it. You just forgot how to notice. Writing helps bring order to your emotions. It turns vague, tangled feelings into clear words, helping you take charge of what you feel instead of being carried away by it. It's like sitting with your emotions, acknowledging them, and then gently letting them go with gratitude. Whether it's happiness or sorrow, journaling becomes a daily act of mental self-care. No different from brushing your teeth or eating a meal. You don't write to look good. You write to protect your inner world from fading into numbness. With time, your heart becomes softer, more responsive, more open to life. The big changes never come from one giant leap, but from small intentional acts repeated every day. Gratitude journaling, though quiet and simple, is one of the most powerful habits to restore joy from within. Each time you pick up the pen, you're saying to life, I see you and I choose to appreciate you. And life, as it always does, will answer with more than you imagined. Gratitude is not meant to stay silent. When you let it flow outward through words, small actions, and genuine presence, you amplify not only your own happiness, but also the happiness of those around you. Real joy is not a private state. It's a current that grows stronger the more it's shared. Gratitude is the source that awakens this current in human connection. Feeling grateful inside is a gentle spark. But when you express it through a thank you, a kind gesture, or a moment of recognition, it turns into energy that spreads. You not only make someone feel seen, but you also help them feel grateful for their own life. Gratitude heals both the giver and the receiver. It creates a space of shared meaning where both people feel their presence matters. A simple thank you, a warm glance, or a small act of kindness can be all someone needs on an ordinary day. When you pause to tell a loved one you're grateful for their support, when you message an old friend to remind them of how they helped you, or when you return kindness with a quiet gesture, you're planting seeds of trust and connection that last. Gratitude is also a language, and like all languages, it must be spoken often to feel natural. Start with small, sincere thank yous. Thank the server for their smile, your co-worker for a helpful action, your partner for their patience on a rough day. When it comes from sincerity, a thank you is more valuable than any gift because it says, I see you, I value you, you matter. Shared gratitude transforms spaces. A family that expresses appreciation becomes warmer. A team that practices it becomes stronger. A community where people freely say thank you becomes more human. Happiness, then, is no longer just personal. It becomes a shared fabric weaving connection and kindness into everyday life. Science shows that people who regularly express gratitude build better relationships, are more liked, and experience less conflict. Gratitude softens defenses, increases sincerity, and creates a sense of belonging. You don't need grand gestures to shift the energy around you. Just one small act of genuine appreciation can start a ripple effect of positivity that reaches others without effort. Sharing gratitude also pulls you out of self-centeredness and opens your heart to the world. When you recognize someone's effort, sacrifice, or kindness, you are practicing humility, a quality that strengthens your humanity. It reminds you that you are not walking through life alone. That many people, even strangers, have quietly shaped your path. And by feeling grateful for them, even if they never know it, you are repairing the invisible threads of connection that so easily fray in the rush of modern life. Spreading gratitude also changes the way we approach conflict. When you begin a conversation with acknowledgement instead of blame, the tone shifts entirely. Saying something like, "I know you tried," before raising your concern does not make you weak. It shows strength. The strength to see from more than one perspective and to balance honesty with kindness. Gratitude does not always need words. It lives in the way you listen without interrupting. In remembering a small detail about someone, in choosing gentleness when anger would be easier. Each time you act this way, you plant seeds of trust, compassion, and connection. And from those seeds, happiness grows quietly but steadily. You can't control how others treat you, but you can always control how you treat them. When you choose to act from gratitude, the world often responds with a different energy. Not because you demanded it, but because you set a new standard for yourself. Gratitude needs no audience and seeks no reward. But it is this very lack of expectation that makes it so powerful. You don't give thanks to receive something back. You give thanks because the person you choose to be. From that choice, happiness begins to grow, not from distant dreams, but from simple, sincere connections. We were not born to be separate. No one is meant to live as an island. From our biology to our nervous system, from brain patterns to the deepest emotions of the heart, we are built to connect. The need to belong, to be heard, to be seen. These are not shallow desires, but fundamental human needs. No lasting happiness can exist in isolation. A person may achieve success in silence, may seem strong while alone. But if they never truly connect, there will always be a quiet, hollow space inside, one that no achievement can fill. Loneliness is not just a feeling. Science has shown it has physical consequences. It weakens the immune system, increases depression, and affects the very parts of the brain tied to motivation and bonding. Humans don't just want connection. They need it as surely as plants need sunlight or hearts need rhythm. You need people who can see and reflect your truest self, not to validate you, but to remind you that you are part of something larger, a family, a friendship, a community, even a fleeting but real moment of understanding with another soul. The irony of modern life is that despite countless ways to communicate, social media, texts, emails, we are more disconnected than ever. We talk constantly but rarely listen. We interact endlessly but rarely feel present. This fragile illusion of connection has left many feeling drained and lonely. True happiness cannot grow if you remain trapped in your own mind, circling unspoken thoughts with no echo of empathy from another human being. Let's talk about connection. You don't need hundreds of relationships to feel whole. One deep bond, one true friend, one person who listens without judgment is enough. Sometimes a single moment of real conversation, A glance full of understanding or an unspoken hug can quiet the emptiness you thought no one could see. But to receive this, you must dare to open up. You can't connect if you hide behind a mask. No one can reach you if you keep your distance out of pride or fear. True connection starts when you choose honesty. When you say you're tired, that you need someone, that you're not okay but trying to be. This kind of unpolished truth is what draws people closer. Because deep down, everyone longs for the same thing. A place to belong, someone they can trust, a relationship where they don't have to be strong all the time. You can begin with small actions. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Ask someone how they are and mean it. Listen to a family member without rushing to speak. These little gestures weave back the threads that daily life often unravels. Through these connections, you begin to feel the flow of life again. Something that cannot exist in isolation. No one is strong enough to go through everything alone. True strength is admitting that you need connection without shame. The happiest people are not those who close off their hearts. They are the ones who open them, who build and nurture relationships with sincerity, because they know happiness does not come from avoiding vulnerability, but from trusting wisely. If you've been hurt before, it doesn't mean every connection is unsafe. A wound doesn't heal by hiding. It heals when you dare to try again. This time with more awareness and self-respect. Learn to choose the right people, to set healthy boundaries, and to love yourself enough not to trade your peace for toxic bonds. When you allow space for real connections to enter your life, you create a safe place for others to come closer to. Happiness then stops being something you must carry alone. It becomes a shared journey of laughter, support, and warm moments that remind you don't have to face it all by yourself. In a world that changes overnight, human connection is what keeps us grounded. A hand reaching out at the right time can save someone from falling. A simple check-in can stop someone from giving up. A real relationship can bring you back to yourself, to meaning, and to a happiness that nothing else can replace. Strength is not isolation. True wisdom is knowing when to open your heart. No one stays happy in solitude forever. We are born to belong. And every time you let yourself connect, you move closer to a lasting joy. Modern life has made people better at talking, but worse at truly conversing. We exchange information, reply to messages, update statuses, but we rarely sit face to face, look into someone's eyes, and speak from the heart. In a world this noisy, a sincere conversation has become rare. Yet one honest, timely conversation can pull someone back from feeling invisible. It can reignite a light they thought was gone. It can soothe a soul breaking in silence. The power of a real conversation lies not in how many words are spoken, but in the presence behind them. When you listen without interrupting, when you ask not to judge, but to understand, when you stop trying to fix someone and simply sit with them, you create a safe space where they can be fully themselves. That feeling of safety is where trust grows, where wounds are acknowledged, where healing begins. A real conversation is not a debate or a competition. It is a space where two people dare to show their truth, unfiltered and real. And when both put down their armor, what emerges is not just a moment of closeness, but a connection deep enough to heal even old, quiet pains. Sometimes what stays with someone is not what you said, but how it felt to be truly heard. In this world, the rarest treasure is not money or opportunity. It is the full, undivided attention of another human being. When you set your phone aside, look someone in the eye, and truly listen with your heart, you give them the greatest gift, your presence. In that moment, the conversation rises beyond words and touches the soul. A sincere conversation awakens awareness. When you speak honestly about what you feel, you begin by being honest with yourself. And when you hear someone share their story, you see a world beyond your own. You not only understand them better, but also begin to understand yourself more deeply. Conversation, when real, is no longer just interaction. It becomes a form of inner growth, where both people leave the moment a little wiser. Lasting happiness cannot exist in isolation, and it cannot grow in shallow relationships. It needs a foundation, and that foundation is built through conversations where you don't have to impress, pretend, or hide. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You only need to be real and patient, and to hold space for others to be real too. There are people who carry silent pain for years because no one ever asks the right question. There are those who don't know they're lost until they speak and hear the truth in their own voice. The right conversation with the right person at the right time can change everything. Not because it solves every problem, but because it opens a door in the mind where someone finally allows themselves to feel, to heal, to change. You don't have to be a therapist to have a healing conversation. You just need sincerity, care, and the courage to talk about what truly matters. In a world full of illusions, the one who speaks with honesty becomes the one who can be trusted. Sometimes all it takes full sentence to make someone realize they are not alone. If you want real happiness, don't invest only in goals, achievements, or knowledge. Invest in genuine conversations. It's in these moments that you learn to understand others, to understand yourself, and to remember that life was never meant to be walked alone. Each person you listen to with your heart becomes part of the story you help enrich. And each time someone listens to you with sincerity, you take a step closer to your true self. Don't wait until everything falls apart to start talking. Don't wait until someone is gone to wish you had listened. Life gives no guarantee for relationships, but it gives you a chance each day to ask, to share, to speak honestly, and to build connections that nothing else can replace. Happiness stops being abstract when you choose to speak truthfully, listen fully, and live authentically. Whether you're an introvert who loves solitude or an extrovert who thrives in crowds, you cannot be truly happy without a circle of positive connection. No one grows strong in a toxic environment, and no one is independent enough not to need people who support and inspire them. The real question is not about personality, but about who you allow into your inner world, who you let stay long enough to shape how you think, how you live, and how you face life. A positive circle is not a wide network of shallow ties. It is a small, intentional ecosystem where each person's presence brings trust, wisdom, encouragement, or peace. One person might help you see yourself more clearly. Another might give you courage when you doubt. And sometimes just one person who listens and believes in you is enough to change the path of your life. Introverts are often misunderstood as not needing connection. In truth, they crave deep, meaningful bonds more than most. They don't want endless small talk, but they long for conversations that matter. They may not enjoy crowds, but they hold tightly to those they trust. For introverts, a positive circle doesn't have to be large. It just needs to be right. A few people who respect silence, understand personal space, and never demand them to be someone they're not or enough. Extroverts, though naturally skilled at making friends and being social, often find themselves surrounded by shallow connections, circles built on laughter, activity, and surface-level fun. They may know many people yet still feel unseen or misunderstood. Extroverts, like anyone else, need to filter their relationships, seeking those who remain steady, not just in good times, but when life becomes difficult. A positive circle is never about the number of friends you have. It's about the energy they bring into your life. To build that circle, you must have the courage to choose wisely. You cannot keep people close who dismiss your dreams, question your every effort, or constantly spread negativity and still expect to feel happy. Each time you sit with someone who only judges or complains, you allow their energy to seep into your mind, reshaping your thoughts toward exhaustion and doubt. But when you spend time with someone who makes you feel calmer, stronger, and more at peace, you are watering the seeds of positivity within yourself. A truly positive circle begins from within. If you betray your own values just to be accepted, you'll attract people who don't truly respect you. If you stay silent to avoid conflict, tolerating what's wrong, you'll end up in toxic relationships that thrive on quiet suffering. But when you start living authentically, speaking your truth, and clearly choosing what belongs in your life, you naturally draw in people who resonate with your energy. It's not magic. It's alignment. Don't be afraid to make your circle smaller if it helps you breathe easier, think clearer, and live more honestly. You owe your presence to no one who repeatedly makes you doubt your worth. A relationship doesn't have to be kept just because of history. If the present is hurting your future, it's time to let go. Building a positive circle takes bravery. The courage to walk away from those who pull you down and the intention to seek out those who lift you up. True positivity doesn't come from people who are always cheerful or flattering. It comes from honesty, quiet presence, and genuine care. They might not always say what you want to hear, but they never make you feel like you need to fight to be loved. If you don't yet have this kind of circle, start creating it now. Notice who leaves you lighter after every conversation. Nurture the relationships that give you room to grow instead of suffocating you with outdated expectations. Be the first to offer positive energy, and you'll be surprised at how the right people begin to appear quietly, but with sincerity. Happiness is not a final destination. It is a journey shaped by the people who walk beside you. And sometimes just walking with the right person changes everything. Whether you are introverted or outgoing, your emotional world is shaped by the company you keep. When you choose wisely, each day won't just pass by. It will feel right, meaningful, and complete. Big achievements might draw applause, but it's the quiet, steady, small wins that truly shape a happy life. These small victories, waking up earlier than before, finishing a task you've avoided, saying no to an old habit, are often unseen. No one claps for them. No one posts about them, but you know. And in those moments when you choose what's right over what's easy, You strengthen your trust in yourself. You remind yourself that you are in control of your life. Many people only allow happiness when they reach a big milestone. Getting a promotion, buying a house, losing weight, completing a huge project. But if you only wait for those rare moments, most of your life will feel like waiting. Big achievements take time, and often longer than we expect. Happiness, however, can be found right now in the small wins of an ordinary day. Small wins might not change the world, but they change you. They push you past procrastination. They build resilience and self-respect. Most importantly, they create momentum, the kind that fuels motivation and belief in yourself. People who celebrate small victories don't depend on big outcomes to feel worthy. They find encouragement in their daily actions, and from there they build a life that is steady, disciplined, and deeply confident. The biggest trap for perfectionists is the thought, "I'll be happy when," but that sentence never ends. As soon as one goal is reached, another appears. The milestone you worked for suddenly feels too small. But when you start acknowledging every small step you take, you free yourself from the exhausting pressure to always be extraordinary. You begin to appreciate the process, the choices, the quiet efforts, even the victories no one else sees. Happiness grows from a sense of progress, and progress doesn't have to be grand. You only need to be a little better than you were yesterday. That's enough to feel alive instead of simply existing. One finished page of writing. One phone call you've been avoiding. Cleaning your desk instead of postponing it. Choosing a healthy meal instead of a rushed one. These are steps forward. When you recognize them, you start to feel proud. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you are honoring your own journey. Notice that the people who smile easily, who uplift others, who carry a calm sense of peace, are often not the ones with the most extravagant lives. They are the ones who know how to cherish the small wins of each day. They are grateful for staying calm in moments of anger. They acknowledge their efforts, even when no one is watching. They build their joy the small and steady moments that when accumulated form an unshakable inner strength. You can start today. Instead of waiting for a big breakthrough, define a small win for yourself, something within your control. Maybe you complete an important task before opening social media. Maybe you focus for 30 minutes without distraction. Maybe you send a kind message to a friend. And when you do it, don't dismiss it as nothing. Acknowledge it. Appreciate it. These small moments are the building blocks of something greater. You don't need to do something extraordinary to feel worthy. You just need to keep doing what's right day after day. Small wins accumulate into big changes. Confidence doesn't come from short bursts of success, but from the steady habit of not giving up on the little things. One day, when you look back, you'll be amazed by how far you've come. Not because the journey was fast or flashy, but because it was real and meaningful. Happiness doesn't wait at the finish line. It is present in every mindful step you take. Small wins remind you that you're still growing, still moving forward, still taking ownership of your life. No outside validation is needed. Only the quiet, knowing that today you've overcome a little part of yourself. Every small action you repeat is a brick you place to build the foundation of your life. It's not the big dramatic moments, but the small, consistent choices that shape who you are. Just as a wall stands firm because of countless patient bricks, a person becomes strong by choosing persistence over quitting, focus over distraction, patience over impulsive reactions. And each time you choose laziness, procrastination, or excuses, you remove a brick, weakening the structure you are trying to build. People don't fall apart from a single crisis. They fall because they never built a strong enough inner foundation to withstand the storm. Life will never promise constant peace. But if you construct your inner world with discipline, integrity, and intentional habits, you will stand firm when challenges come. Not because you are better than others, but because you've made yourself reliable to yourself. Small actions may go unnoticed by others, but you know them. You know, if you read those extra pages, if you finished your task, or if you gave in to distraction, these choices won't make you a genius overnight. But they are quiet promises to your subconscious that you take your life seriously, that you live by principles, not fleeting moods. And the subconscious, like a loyal machine, will respond by reinforcing your strength in your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Each small action forms a neural pathway. Each pathway gradually builds your inner operating system. And that system shapes how you decide, how you handle pressure, how you manage emotions, and how you define what truly matters in your life. Small actions are never meaningless. They are the building blocks of character. You don't need endless theories to change your life. You just need a few simple habits done every day, with steady, unwavering consistency. People often ask, how do I stay grounded when negativity, criticism, or unexpected problems arise? The answer isn't found in controlling the world around you. It's found in how much control you can build within yourself. The person who strengthens their mind each day with deliberate actions, a 20-minute walk, 10 minutes of meditation, writing down 3 things they are grateful for, or simply keeping a promise to themselves becomes unshakable. Not because they lack feelings, but because they've built a stable core that can handle life's storms. We often overestimate inspiration and underestimate habit. Inspiration is the spark, but habit is the fuel. Without habit, inspiration fades as soon as the wind shifts. But if you gather small sticks of effort each day, you build a fire that lasts. A fire strong enough to outlast the fleeting moods of motivation. That endurance is what separates those who only dream from those who truly transform. You don't need recognition for your daily efforts. You don't have to prove to anyone that you are trying. Every small, consistent, purposeful action becomes a quiet part of who you are. One day, when people describe you as disciplined, calm, or reliable, you'll know it's not a compliment. It's simply the reflection of hundreds of days when you chose the right thing while no one was watching. Never underestimate the power of the small. One misplaced brick can make a wall unstable. One repeated negative action can create a habit that drags you away from your true self. But when you place each brick with care, adjust each behavior, and take small right actions, you create a foundation that nothing can break. Stability is not a feeling. It is the result of countless small actions. Choices you make consistently without anyone forcing you, without anyone needing to notice. If you feel unsteady today, don't wait for something big to save you. Return to the small things you can do now. That is where you'll find control, stability, and inner strength. A person may lose direction, but they are never truly lost as long as they keep even one small positive habit alive. That single habit is proof that the fire inside is still burning. And each day, you choose one right action. You place another brick on the path toward an unshakable mind. Emotions are energy, and energy cannot simply vanish. It must be transformed. If you hold sadness for too long without releasing it, your body becomes heavy with tension. It shows up in your breath, your sleep, your heartbeat, and even in your thoughts. You cannot think clearly when your body is locked in negativity. You cannot find peace when your mind never rests. Movement is one of the oldest and most natural forms of healing. You don't need to be an athlete or run marathons. You simply need to move, walk, stretch, breathe deeply under sunlight. Let your body rotate and flow. Each motion is a signal to your nervous system. I am here. I am alive. I can shift my state. As your body moves, your emotions begin to flow again. But movement alone is not enough. If you move without awareness, burying yourself in tasks or workouts just to escape feelings, you are only distracting yourself, not healing. That's why movement must be paired with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in each breath, each step, each simple action. When you walk and know that you are walking, when you inhale and feel your breath, when you wash dishes or cook a meal with full presence, these daily tasks stop being chores and become moments of healing. The combination of movement and mindfulness is like a perfect duet. Movement is the body's flow. Mindfulness is the mind's clarity. Together, they bring you back to the present, pulling you away from regrets of the past and worries of the future. You are here. You are living. And in this presence, you find the true anchor that keeps you steady through any storm. Science shows that even light movement, walking, stretching, yoga, or simply standing up every hour and a half can lower stress, improve sleep, and speed up mental recovery. When paired with mindfulness, movement doesn't just calm your body, it reconnects you with yourself. You stop running from emotions and begin listening to them. You stop forcing your mind and start gently guiding it. Mindfulness doesn't require you to be a meditation master. It only asks that you be fully present in what you're doing, instead of letting your mind scatter into 1,000 thoughts. When you eat, just eat. When you listen to music, truly listen. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. These simple moments help your mind settle, your heartbeat slow, and a quiet space open inside you. A space with no panic, no judgment, only presence. When life feels chaotic, most people try to control the situation. But what truly needs control is not the circumstance, it's your inner response. And that control is built by training your body and mind to reconnect. Not through force, but through intentional movement with awareness. When you feel overwhelmed, don't tense up or force fake positivity. Instead, stand up, step outside, and walk slowly in silence. Don't analyze or try to solve anything. Let your body lead. Often just a few minutes of mindful movement can bring a fresh perspective. Not because the problem has changed, but because your fear has turned into clarity. Happiness isn't the absence of challenges. It's your ability to stay steady when things don't go as planned. That steadiness isn't built by reading books or collecting advice. It's built by action. By creating daily moments where you consciously return to your breath, your body, and the life flowing within you. Strength comes not from forcing, but from the soft, flexible power of presence. You don't need long meditation, sessions, or intense workouts. You just need to promise yourself at least 10 mindful minutes each day, moving, breathing, being fully aware. Keep that promise and slowly you'll notice changes you can't quite name. You'll become calmer, more present, more alive in the way you think, love, and live. In this noisy, fast-moving world, the combination of movement and mindfulness is an anchor for the soul. You don't need big philosophies or dramatic solutions. You only need to return to yourself one step, one breath at a time. That's enough to carry you through any storm. Mindfulness isn't about sitting still for hours or silencing your thoughts. It's not a complex technique. It's simply living fully in the present, being aware of your actions, your feelings, and your breath without being dragged away by distractions. It's not emptiness. It's clarity. It's feeling the cool water as you drink it. It's noticing the warmth of water on your skin as you wash your hands. It's listening to someone speak, not to reply, but to truly understand them. Mindfulness is presence without rushing, without distraction, without autopilot. Modern life has buried this presence under speed and noise. We scroll our phones without reason. We eat without tasting. We hear people without truly listening. A lack of mindfulness doesn't break you all at once. It slowly erodes your awareness, cutting you off from your own experience. And when that connection is lost, happiness starts to feel far away, not because it's missing, but because you've forgotten how to feel it. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to do more. In fact, it asks you to pause, to feel what you are already doing. It's not about doing things faster, but about doing them more deeply. It's not about living hurriedly, but about living with intention. When you eat breakfast, put down your phone and simply taste your food. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet, the breeze on your face, the sound of leaves moving in the wind. When you shower, let yourself truly feel the water as it touches your skin. This isn't a luxury for those with free time. It's essential for anyone who wants to find balance again. The mind often drifts back into the past or forward into the future. That's what creates anxiety, regret, and constant expectation. But the present moment is the only place where life truly happens. Every change, every joy, every deep healing begins here now. That's why mindfulness isn't a destination, but a way of living. It's choosing to slow down in a world that constantly speeds up. It's holding on to the most precious thing you have, yourself. You don't have to eliminate every thought to be mindful. You simply have to notice them without chasing them. When a thought arises, don't judge or push it away. Just say, that's a thought. And return to your breath, your step, or whatever you're doing. The more you practice this, the freer you become. No longer controlled by emotions or the chaos of the mind. You begin to see that you're no longer reacting blindly, but choosing how to respond with intention. Mindfulness is the anchor that keeps your heart steady amidst endless information and emotion. It helps you notice when you're on autopilot, when fear is pulling you away from yourself. And the moment you notice, you have the power to return. You don't have to change your entire life. Happiness isn't built on grand events. It comes from the quality of the small moments you truly experience. Mindfulness is the key that unlocks that quality. When you live with awareness, food tastes richer, sleep feels deeper, love becomes more genuine, and work flows with creativity. Not because the world outside has changed, but because you've changed how you show up. You stop chasing life and start living it. No one is mindful 24 hours a day. But if you can pause 3 times a day, once when you wake, once during lunch, and once before bed, and ask, "Am I really here in this moment?" Then you've already started the journey back to yourself. This journey needs no complicated theory or special skill, just a commitment to be present. Then each day is no longer just time passing, but time truly lived. In a world full of noise, mindfulness is your quiet home. Not to escape from life, but to reconnect with it. Every time you pause and fully feel this moment, you remind yourself, I deserve to live fully, even if only for a breath. And if you hold on to that day after day, you begin to build a life that feels deeper, more meaningful, and truly joyful. You don't see life exactly as it is. You see it through the lens of your own mind, shaped by your experiences, wounds, fears, and beliefs. The same event can look like an opportunity to one person and like a problem to another. The same words can be forgotten by one, but held onto for weeks by someone else. The world itself hasn't changed. The perspective has. When you shift your perspective, you shift your emotions. And with that, the energy you bring into life transforms. No event is inherently good or bad until you label it. Life isn't here to hurt you or to be unfair. It simply reflects the energy you project onto it. If you see life as a victim, you'll find endless proof of unfairness. But if you see it as a creator, every challenge becomes an invitation to grow into someone stronger than you were yesterday. Change doesn't begin when the outside world shifts. It begins when you have the courage to change the way you see it. Changing your perspective doesn't mean making excuses for negativity or pretending everything is fine. It means learning to see life through a wider lens with deeper awareness. It's when you ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? It's when you stop blaming and start taking responsibility for your own emotions. Because the moment you stop waiting for the world to change, you reclaim the power to change your life. Every time you shift your perspective, you rewrite the story you're living. A rejection can feel like failure if you see it as an ending. But it can also become a turning point if you view it as a redirection towards something better. A broken relationship can make you feel abandoned, or it can teach you to love yourself first before expecting anyone else to love you well. Every experience is a teacher, but only if you are willing to learn. And learning begins when you're ready to see things differently. The greatest transformations don't come from doing more, but from seeing more clearly. When you change how you view someone, you change how you treat them. When you change how you see yourself, you change how you live each day. When you change how you see challenges, you stop fearing them and begin walking through them with calm strength. The world doesn't have to bend to your wishes. What truly matters is how you engage with it. And when you shift your perspective, new paths begin to open. Many perspectives you hold now were never questioned. They became truth simply because you accepted them long ago. Some of your limits aren't real. They were conclusions you made during moments of fear or weakness. Changing your perspective doesn't mean denying the past. It means looking back with the wisdom of who you've become. True maturity is when you no longer wait for the world to apologize before you heal. It's when you realize that is strong enough not to be defined by what happened to you. How you see life shapes what life reflects back. A person who carries gratitude, openness, and trust often attracts kindness, opportunities, and love. A person who lives in doubt and fear finds more of what they fear. You can't expect life to feel light if you look at it through a heavy lens. But when you approach life like a student, open, curious, without bitterness, you become the author of your experiences. Perspective doesn't shift overnight. It begins the moment you decide not to let negative emotions control you. It's when you start asking new questions with a wiser mindset. It's when you stop saying, "I can't," and replace it with, "I'm learning how." It's when you look at someone who hurt you and ask, could they have been hurting too? That is not weakness. That is emotional intelligence at its highest level. Happiness doesn't come from a life without problems. It comes from the ability to adjust within, so that challenges don't sweep you away. Each time you change your perspective, even just a little, you create more space inside yourself, space to respond differently, to feel differently, to grow. You're no longer the person trapped by the past. You become someone with the freedom to redefine reality. Life doesn't change because you plead with it. It changes when you dare to see it differently and act from that new vision. Every journey of growth starts with awareness. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you interpret it. And once you truly understand that, panic fades. You move forward not because life became easier, but because your mindset became stronger. No one can control every event. Accidents, failures, losses, misunderstandings, they are part of every life. What separates those who fall apart from those who rise is not the event itself, but the response. It is always the response that shapes the emotional experience. Some crumble over small setbacks, others endure great losses, yet remain calm, adapt, and keep going. Their minds are not stronger by nature. They have simply learned the power of choosing their response. Happiness does not come from avoiding risks. It comes from building inner resilience, so strong that no matter what happens, you know how to reshape its meaning. You cannot choose every event, but you can always choose the meaning you give it. And it is from that meaning that your emotions and ultimately your life are born. A criticism can feel like an insult if you let pride take over. But it can also become a guide if you set ego aside and see it with maturity. The end of a relationship can bring pain if you cling to it, but it can also bring freedom if you see it as a necessary step to move forward. Any negative event can become the foundation of your strength. If you're brave enough not to react with old habits, emotions are consequences, not destiny. Your first reaction doesn't reflect your true self. It reflects the conditioning of your nervous system. But your second reaction, the moment you pause, breathe, and choose your response, that is when you take back control. From that point on, you're no longer living on autopilot, but with awareness. Events themselves carry no emotion. It's how you interpret them that shapes your mental state. If you don't learn to manage that, you'll spend your life being pushed and pulled by other people's actions, opinions, and moods. You become a victim not because life is cruel, but because you've never stopped to ask, can I respond differently? That question, simple yet powerful, is the starting point of inner freedom and happiness. No one forces you to be angry at an insult, anxious in uncertainty, or sad when you fail. You've simply been conditioned to react that way. But every reaction can be retrained if you practice the power of choice. Each time something triggers you, pause. Don't speak too quickly. Don't label too fast. Just breathe. Ask yourself, does this reaction bring me closer to the life I want? If not, you have the right to choose again. Here's the truth. When you change how you respond, you change how others treat you. Life reflects the energy you give. Those who anger easily often attract frustration. Those who remain calm and grounded influence their environment in quiet yet powerful ways. This energy builds trust, safety, and a life that feels lighter. A mature person isn't someone who never gets upset. It's someone who knows when to stop before their reaction destroys what's valuable. It's someone who can feel anger but not speak hurtful words. Someone who can feel fear but not act impulsively. It's someone who can sit in the storm and still hold a calm center. And that stillness is where true strength is born. Happiness isn't found in perfect days or perfect circumstances. It lives in your ability to stay steady through imperfect ones. A busy day won't drain you if you don't meet it with frustration. A criticism won't break you if you don't let it define your worth. A crisis won't destroy you if you see it as part of a bigger path. Everything comes down to how you respond, and you can relearn that skill at any time. The world may not change, but when you change your response, your entire perspective shifts. You stop looking through the lens of wounds and defensiveness. You see through clarity, through awareness, through choice. And when you live this way long enough, the things that once hurt you lose their power. The things that once worried you become small. You are no longer controlled by life. You become the calm center of it. You don't need a special course or a savior to free you from negative emotions. True happiness isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of intentional, mindful responses. If you start today with small conscious choices, you'll build a stronger nervous system, a clearer mind, and a life that feels entirely yours. Many people believe life purpose must be something grand. A mission that changes the world, leaves a legacy, or earns admiration from millions. But this belief leaves many lost and exhausted, thinking they are living wrong because they haven't found that one great thing. The truth is simpler. Purpose doesn't have to be huge. It's anything that makes your life feel meaningful today. If you wake up each morning and know why you're getting out of bed, you're already living with purpose. Not everyone is meant to invent, lead, or create movements. And that's perfectly enough. Everyone can live with purpose by finding what makes them feel truly alive rather than just existing. It could be caring for a loved one, raising a kind and thoughtful child, running a small bookstore that shares knowledge, or simply living each day in a way you won't regret when the night falls. Purpose is not measured by size or recognition, but by the fullness you feel inside. If what you do gives your presence meaning, then that is a purpose worth holding close and nurturing. No one else can define your purpose. It won't be found on a career map, hidden in someone's advice, or waiting for you at the end of a long path to success. It has often been with you all along in the moments that make you feel alive. in the activities where time disappears, in the things you do not for praise or reward, but simply because you cannot imagine not doing them. Ask yourself what moves your heart so deeply it leaves you quiet. What would you give your time and energy to without hesitation? That is where you begin to uncover purpose. Many people spend their lives chasing what they think will bring meaning, fame, wealth, recognition, only to feel empty when they forget why they started. They live by what the world calls success and lose touch with what brings true fulfillment. Real purpose is not what makes others applaud, but what makes you keep going, even when no one is watching. If you feel your reason is strong enough to live for, you don't need anyone else to understand or validate it. The person who sweeps the street every morning out of love for cleanliness lives no less purposefully than a great scientist. The person who pours their heart into preparing family meals lives no less meaningfully than someone managing an international project. It's not about what you do, but how you do it. Dedication and the desire to contribute. Any act can be an expression of deep purpose. Living with purpose is not about reaching a grand destination. It's about choosing to live meaningfully in each moment. It's knowing that even the smallest action contributes to something greater, whether or not you see it immediately. Being fully present in a conversation, helping someone when they need it, planting a seed of hope in another's heart. These are all signs of a meaningful life. When you live like this, you don't need to search for purpose. You are already living it. Everyone is born with the instinct to contribute. But many think contribution means doing something monumental. In truth, the world doesn't need more symbols of success. It needs more people who live kindly, who live deeply, who live with presence. People who live not to prove but to connect, not to win but to inspire, not to conquer but to nurture. And you can be that person starting today by choosing to live with intention rather than waiting for purpose to appear. You know you're living with purpose when you feel full inside, even if the outside is quiet. When you don't need to boast, because you feel at peace with what you do each day. When you're no longer haunted by the need to do something big, but instead feel grateful for the chance to live kindly with what you have, then purpose is no longer an abstract idea. It becomes the silent, steady rhythm guiding your life. The world will not remember your titles, possessions, or the name on your door. But it will feel the energy you leave in everything you did with love and presence. If you live like this every day, even if you're never celebrated, you'll leave a mark that cannot be erased. You will have lived with purpose, not because it was grand, but because it was real and meaningful. Many people feel lost, not because they have nothing, but because they believe that unless they achieve something extraordinary, what they do doesn't matter. But this belief slowly erodes their sense of worth. Purpose isn't waiting at the end of the road. It's present in every choice you make today. It's in doing the right thing even when no one sees it. It's in the depth and attention you bring to even the smallest act. A thoughtful message, patience with someone struggling, or giving someone your full attention. All of these carry profound purpose when done with sincerity. Too many people spend their lives waiting for the big moment when they will start living with purpose. But the truth is, every small decision today is already part of the larger picture of a purposeful life. When you ignore the small details, you let the true essence of purpose slip away. Because any act, no matter how simple, when done with care and love, becomes sacred. A person who listens with an open heart, without judgment, does something far more powerful than any grand speech. Someone who cleans a corner of their home, out of deep respect for their space, is already living a philosophy worth admiring. Purpose doesn't need to be written like a mission statement. It needs to be breathed into your daily actions. Wise people don't wait for the perfect time, more money, or ideal circumstances to live meaningfully. They begin with what's closest, with what's here today. They know that if you keep waiting for a special occasion to be kind, to devote yourself, to live with intention, you're letting life slip by, leaving behind only delays and regrets. The way you greet your mornings, the way you respond to small challenges, the way you act when no one is watching. This is the true measure of your purpose. What isn't repeated in small actions will never be strong enough to last in big ones. You don't need a stage or applause. You need intention, clear, quiet, and steady. When you choose to treat a stranger kindly, when you resolve a misunderstanding instead of ignoring it, when you finish a task simply because you promised yourself you would, you are saying, I live for the process, not just the outcome. And step by step, this process shapes a life of deep meaning. Every act you do, even if unseen, is a quiet declaration. I live for a reason. Once you understand this, you stop needing validation from the outside. You stop seeing your life as unremarkable because you've recognized the value hidden in each moment. And when you truly see it, you can turn even the simplest moment into part of your purpose. Think of a potter at the wheel. They don't rush to create something grand. They simply shape each curve with care, adjust each detail, and stay patient with every turn. It's that attention, that presence that makes the work beautiful. Not because the vase itself is extraordinary, but because their heart is present in every touch of clay. Your life is the same. You are your own craftsman. You don't need to create a masterpiece overnight. You only need steady hands and presence in every small action. Time will take care of the rest. Many people write long and inspiring life purpose statements, yet live their days far removed from them. Purpose doesn't need to be written. It needs to be lived. You don't have to say, I will help the world. You only need to help one person in one moment with one sincere act. Do this every day, and you're already on the right path. Not the path the world expects of you, but the path that aligns with your own values. If you feel lost, stop searching in distant places. Look closer. Ask yourself, what can I do today? Something small, something kind, something done with care. Make a space cleaner. Make someone feel valued. Give a task your full attention. The moment you act on this, you stop searching for purpose. You are living it. And the miracle is this. The more small right things you do, the more naturally you are guided toward bigger, deeper things without force. There is no waste in a life lived with awareness. No action is too small when done with pure intention and presence. If you can live like this, you won't need to ask, what is my purpose? You will see it in every breath you don't waste, in every relationship you honor, in every decision you make with heart. You won't need a destination to feel that you're on the right path. because each step will already prove it. No one can walk far if every step is heavy with self-condemnation. No one can truly feel joy if their mind is filled with constant self-criticism. What destroys inner peace is not the outside world, but the harsh voice inside your own head. The voice that whispers cruel words every time you make a mistake, fall behind, or fail to meet expectations. Many believe that self-blame leads to growth, but real lasting growth never comes from shame or punishment. True change begins with kindness toward yourself. You can aim high. You can hold yourself to great standards. But if every time you fall short, you choose self-hatred, you're not growing. You're digging a hole so deep that even you won't want to live inside it. There is no one you live with more closely than yourself. Imagine living in a house where every day you are bombarded with criticism, comparisons, and harsh words. You would want to leave. Yet, when you turn your own mind into such a place, you block every path that leads back to peace. Kindness toward yourself is not about making excuses or ignoring mistakes. It's about recognizing that you are human. To be human is to be strong at times and weak at others. To shine in some moments and feel lost in others. To be right sometimes and wrong other times. Self-kindness means having the courage to face your mistakes without nailing yourself to them. It means learning what needs to be learned, but not sentencing yourself to a lifetime of regret. It means moving forward with clarity, not carrying a heart torn apart by guilt. You don't need to become someone else to deserve love. You don't need to be perfect to treat yourself kindly. The same compassion you offer others is the compassion you deserve to offer yourself. Don't tear yourself down for not being where someone else is. They have their own path, their own starting line, their own challenges. You weren't born to compete. You were born to live your path honestly. And that path always requires self-compassion. Not to stop, but to keep moving forward with strength. Notice how you speak to yourself after a mistake. Are you using words you'd never say to a friend? Do you repeat phrases like, "I'm awful," "I'm always mess up," "I'm worthless"? If so, pause. That's not self-awareness, that's self-destruction. No one can build a happy life on a foundation of their own harsh words. Self-blame traps you in the past. Kindness brings you back to the present. And only in the present can you choose again. Being kind to yourself creates space for healing. It means you acknowledge your mistakes, but you don't let them define you. You learn the difference between "I did something wrong" and "I am wrong." These are not the same. Behavior can be changed. But if you reject yourself, you cut off the root of all improvement. The harsher you are with yourself, the harsher you become with others. A lack of inner compassion makes you more reactive to the world. But when you speak to yourself gently, you naturally see others with more patience and tolerance. You live lighter, no longer trying to prove yourself. No longer shrinking from your mistakes, no longer carrying the shame of what cannot be changed. One of the clearest signs of maturity is not making fewer mistakes, but learning how to rise after them faster, gentler, without tearing yourself down a second time. Happiness is born from a healthy relationship with yourself, and that health cannot grow from judgment. It begins when you can say, "I was wrong, but I still deserve to move forward." When you believe you are worthy, you stop giving up on yourself. You step out of the cycle of self-rejection and Choose the path of self-support built on resilience and kindness. Every day is a chance to begin again. You don't lose the right to be happy because you failed yesterday. You don't have to live forever in regret because of past mistakes. The past is a place to learn, not a place to live. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from experience, from a deeper understanding of yourself. Don't wait until you are better to love yourself. Start now. Look in the mirror and say the words you need most. Forgive yourself for moments of immaturity, for choices made without awareness, for the reactions you hadn't yet learned to control. Promise yourself you will do better. Not because you deserve punishment, but because you deserve peace. And from this place, happiness begins to grow. Not from anything grand, but from a simple decision to be kind to yourself starting today. Nothing chains a person more deeply than unresolved guilt. We often think we are exhausted from outside pressure, but it is the quiet layers of resentment within that keep us from living fully. A mistake left unforgiven becomes a burden. A memory left unreconciled becomes a prison. And your life force cannot flow freely if the deepest part of you is still tied to the things you refuse to release. Forgiving yourself is not about denying mistakes, nor is it a free pass. It is one of the bravest acts of someone mature enough to take responsibility, learn the lesson, and then choose to let go and move forward. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it stops the endless punishment you keep inflicting on yourself. And only when you stop punishing yourself can you call forth your true inner strength to live more fully. Inner power cannot flow from a heart cracked by self-hatred. You may have talent, ambition, and willpower, but if a part of you still despises who you are, true freedom will always feel out of reach. Forgiveness is the starting point of inner wholeness. It's when you stop dividing yourself into good and bad and start seeing the whole picture. An imperfect human who is learning and growing. This shift in perspective frees you from the invisible chains you've been carrying for far too long. Be honest. How many times have you believed you didn't deserve to move forward? That you didn't deserve love or a second chance because you hadn't forgiven yourself? How often have you denied yourself happiness with thoughts like, I'm not good enough. I ruined everything. I deserve this pain. These are curses we cast on ourselves. And the more we repeat them, the deeper we sink into helplessness. Each time you refuse to forgive yourself, you keep your wound open. And no wound can heal if you keep reopening it with resentment. Forgiveness doesn't come from fleeting emotions. It's a conscious choice. You choose to forgive, not because it's easy, but because holding on to pain will never make you stronger. You let go, not because the mistake deserves to be excused, but because you refuse to let it destroy you. Forgiveness is the gift you give yourself so you can heal, so you can live fully, so your energy can be directed toward building instead of enduring. When you forgive yourself, you rebuild your relationship with the person you once were. You don't erase your past self. You sit with them, understand them, and offer compassion. You place a hand on the shoulder of the one who made mistakes and say, I understand why I acted that way. I see that fear, confusion, or inexperience led me. And I forgive, not because it was right, but because I want to be free. From that moment, you are no longer a prisoner of the past. You become the author of the present. You cannot write a new chapter if you keep rereading an old page. Forgiving yourself is how you turn that page, not to forget, but to move on. And with that new page, you can write with the ink of growth instead of the tears of regret. No one walks steadily while constantly looking back at where they stumbled. And no one can reach far while carrying the heavy weight of unresolved guilt. Your greatest strength lies not in punishing yourself, but in making peace with the past, with your mistakes, with your fears. Forgiveness restores your balance. It opens the space where creativity flows, where you're no longer ruled by the toxic voice in your head, where you stop trying to prove your worth and simply live with truth, freedom, and meaning. Don't wait until you feel ready to forgive yourself. Start now. Forgiveness is not a single event. It's a process, a little each day. Each time you choose to speak to yourself with more kindness, each time you refuse to replay the old story and decide to write a new one. Each moment you take a deep breath instead of self-blame. Each time you choose to move forward instead of looking back. The more you forgive yourself, the more you're able to lift others because you understand that pain is real. Falling is real. But so is the power to rise. No one can take that from you unless you give it away. Forgiveness doesn't need anyone's permission. And it only requires courage, the courage to say, no matter what has happened, I still choose to love myself enough to live with dignity. When you do this, you'll realize your inner power was never gone. It was only hidden beneath guilt. And forgiveness is the key that unlocks the gate that leads you back to yourself, whole, strong, and free. Some wounds cannot be healed by overthinking or understanding every why. They can only be healed by release. The more you obsess over why someone hurt you, why an event happened, why the past can't be changed, the more you trap yourself in a cycle of pain. Not every wound needs a full explanation. Some pains don't need answers. They need your courage to let go. Letting go does not mean giving up, nor does it mean you no longer care. It simply means you recognize what no longer serves your peace or growth. It's a quiet wisdom when you tell yourself, I've carried this long enough. Now I choose to set it down so I can move forward. In that moment, you lose nothing. Instead, you reclaim a part of your freedom that had been trapped in the past. We often mistake holding on for strength, but sometimes it is the grip itself that makes us bleed. A clenched fist held too long grows numb. An emotion held too long freezes the heart. The more you cling to what's already gone, the more you drain the life from the present. No one can fully live today while carrying the broken pieces of yesterday. There will be stories that end without an apology. People will leave without explanation. Dreams will crumble, not because of fault or failure, but simply because life moves in ways we cannot control. When that happens, you have two choices: to keep carrying the heavy question of why, or to accept that not every ending is clear and still choose peace. Letting go is an inner act. It doesn't require an announcement, just a quiet decision. To stop letting the past shape the present. To stop replaying the same old story. To stop waiting for something that will never return. In that silence, you can finally hear your own heartbeat, no longer drowned by sorrow. Many people struggle to let go, not because they want to keep the pain, but because they fear losing what defines them: justice, identity, the right to hurt. But you were not born to be a victim forever. You don't need pain as proof that you once loved or trusted deeply. You can hold the memory without carrying the burden. You can honor what once was without letting it weigh you down. Sometimes what you must release isn't a person, but the expectations you placed on them, the image of how life should have been, the perfect story you created in your mind that reality never matched. When you let go of those illusions, you don't become cold. You become clearer. You see life as it is, not as you wished it to be. Letting go is not weakness. It is a sign of strength and maturity. It's knowing when something should continue and when it's time to close the chapter. It's understanding that your energy is not infinite and choosing to give it to what nourishes you rather than what drains you. True wisdom is realizing that not all pain deserves to live inside you. Perhaps letting go is the highest form of self-love. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean denying what happened. It means telling yourself, I choose to move forward with a lighter heart, with gratitude for what taught me, and with freedom from what once imprisoned me. From that moment, life begins again, not in the shadow of the past, but in the light of possibility. Letting go is also an act of faith. It's believing that something better still awaits. That no matter what was lost, you still have enough within you to keep building. That faith, not the thing you once clung to, is the real foundation for growth. You can start letting go now. You don't need to feel completely ready. You don't need to have all the answers. Just one small decision, a loosening of the grip, a single deep breath. A willingness to release what no longer feeds your soul. Because peace isn't found in holding on to everything, but in knowing what to keep and what to release. If happiness were a fleeting moment, like a shooting star, the world would be filled with people who had once been happy, but are now forever miserable. True happiness isn't luck, nor is it a perfect alignment of events. Deep and lasting happiness is the result of cultivated habits. It's not something you wait for. It's something you train for, not a random gift, but a reward of discipline and intention. The happiest people are not those who face the fewest struggles. They are those who have built the strongest mental habits. Happy people don't wish for a life without challenges. Instead, they build positive reflexes that help them move through challenges with calmness and clarity. Each morning, they don't simply wait to see what good might happen. They create it through small intentional acts, sipping warm water, writing down a thought or two, walking in silence, or sending a kind message. These simple practices repeated over the years form a steady foundation for joy that no storm can easily shake. You can have success, wealth, or recognition and still feel empty if you lack the habits that nourish happiness from within. You can have countless reasons to smile yet feel heavy if your mind is trained to respond with doubt, criticism, or complaint. On the other hand, someone walking through difficulties can still carry light if they return to the practices that feed the heart. Gratitude, presence, mindful awareness, compassionate speech, and positive thinking. Happiness does not depend on the shape of your circumstances. It depends on how you choose to respond to them each day. Every small action you repeat your inner state. Each time you smile instead of frown, you rewire your mind toward hope. Each time you practice gratitude instead of resentment, you train yourself to see abundance rather than lack. Each time, you listen with patience instead of reacting impulsively. You strengthen the habit of understanding. True happiness is not born from grand moments, but from thousands of small choices repeated until they become natural. Building habits of happiness doesn't mean changing your life overnight. It begins with the smallest decisions made consistently. A person who exercises each morning doesn't do it because they have extra time, but because they know health is the foundation of positive energy. A person who puts away their phone in the evening doesn't do so because they have no obligations, but because they know stillness fuels inner peace. A person who hugs their loved one isn't waiting for a special occasion. They know appreciation must be shown while it's still possible. These habits are neither costly nor complex. Yet, when repeated, they make you so rooted in joy that no setback can easily break you. Those who lack happiness habits will always chase external things to fill the emptiness within. They need praise to feel joy, money to feel secure, love to feel worthy. But those who have cultivated inner strength through daily habits are different. They generate their own sense of fullness, independent of anyone's approval. This inner independence makes them radiant, magnetic, and resilient. You don't need complex philosophies to build happiness habits. You only need honesty. Ask yourself, what actions bring me peace? What words give me clarity? Which people make me feel authentic? Which places bring me back to the present? Once you know the answers, turn them into your daily rituals. One day, you'll realize you've become happy. Not because of a big event or achievement, but because of the small choices you repeat with intention. Don't ask, when will I finally be happy? Instead, ask, what habits am I repeating that make me suffer? And which new habits can I adopt that will nourish me? Happiness begins the moment you recognize that you are responsible for the emotions you create. The journey doesn't start with waiting for the perfect moment. It starts with one small habit today. No one is free from hardship. No one lives without stumbling. But there is one quality that separates those who collapse from who rise, and that is resilience. When the world turns its back, when every door closes, when you find yourself lost and alone, resilience becomes the silent shield that keeps you whole. Resilience is not coldness or denial. It is flexible strength, the ability to face pain and failure without letting them define you. Resilient people do not hide from reality. They accept it, learn from it, adapt, and keep moving. Not with noise or complaints, but with quiet determination. Today's world praises quick success, but often forgets the power of endurance. Yet, endurance is what builds true foundations. You might start slower than others, stumble more, or fail more often. But if you refuse to give up, if you know how to heal and keep moving, you are building an inner strength no title or recognition could ever match. Resilience is not born in the light. It is forged in darkness. No lesson teaches you how to rise better than the moments when you've fallen hard. No theory can make you stronger than real-life experiences. Those times when you lost almost everything yet refused to lose yourself. Each challenge you overcome adds another invisible layer of armor. A quiet strength that shields you from future storms. This is not numbness. It is clarity, depth, and wisdom gained through pain. Resilient people are not afraid of failure. What they fear is staying trapped in the feeling of failure. They know that life moves in cycles. Night gives way to dawn. Winter gives way to growth. They don't measure their worth by what happens to them, but by how they respond. Each choice in thought, in language, in action builds a mindset that remains unshaken no matter how chaotic the outside world becomes. Resilience doesn't mean acting strong all the time. True strength lies in daring to be vulnerable when needed, to cry when pain is heavy, to rest when exhaustion comes, to ask for help when the burden is too much, and then to return steadier and more grounded than before. Resilient people don't try to be superheroes. They simply choose to rise rather than remain frozen. They choose to continue rather than retreat. You don't need a major crisis to build resilience. You can start today by pausing before reacting to difficulties. Take a deep breath, observe clearly, and remind yourself this too will pass. I've been strong before. I will be strong again. Surround yourself with people whose energy lifts you, because resilience thrives in supportive company. Once you embrace resilience as a way of life, you stop wishing for life to be easier. You choose to become stronger. You stop demanding fairness. You build the ability to rise above even what feels unjust. You stop blaming your circumstances. You start asking, what is this teaching me? That mindset is what forges an unshakable spirit. There's a truth few people speak of. True success is not determined by intelligence, but by psychological endurance. The ones who win are those who keep going without immediate results, who face rejection, but continue, who withstand what feels unfair. They succeed not by luck, but because they never let challenges define their self-worth. When you live long enough with resilience, you realize nothing can truly break you. It can hurt, but it won't destroy you. It can slow you down, but it won't turn you back. It can cause doubt for a moment, but it can't extinguish your inner light, because that light wasn't lit by ease. It was lit by the nights you walked through, refusing to let your fire die. If there were a remedy that could instantly lift your spirit, warm your heart, connect you deeply to life, and make existence feel meaningful, it would be kindness. It costs nothing, requires no special skill, and is always available to you. The moment you choose to do something kind, no matter how small, you awaken your own light and make someone's life brighter. Happiness often begins with something as simple as that. The beautiful thing about kindness is that when you give it, you are the first to receive it. The brain responds instantly. Oxytocin is released. Your nervous system relaxes. Stress hormones drop, and a wave of calm connection floods you. You feel useful, valuable, alive. And none of this requires external recognition because the reward begins within. This is not just a comforting idea, but a truth confirmed by science through neuroscience and positive psychology. Those who live only for themselves, guarding every inch of their own interests, often end up feeling lonely and empty. When you close your heart to others, you also close the doors to your own joy. Without kindness, happiness becomes shallow and short-lived. You might achieve success, yet feel like something essential is missing. Because what's missing is the simple act of giving without expecting anything back. Kindness doesn't need to be grand. Sometimes it's just a warm glance, a genuine compliment, a timely "how are you?" or a small gesture that lightens someone's burden. These seemingly small acts, when practiced often, create a field of positive energy around you. Others feel it, and so do you. Kindness doesn't just create ripples in society. It builds a living ecosystem that nourishes you from within. Many people mistake kindness for weakness. They fear it will make them vulnerable, easy to use, or looked down on. But that is a misunderstanding. True kindness is not naive. Truly kind people are strong with their boundaries, firm in their principles, and steady in their compassion. They don't act out of fear of displeasing others, but because they choose to live above selfish impulses. And that choice makes them stronger than most, for they are guided by values, not fleeting emotions. Here's another truth. Kindness doesn't wait for perfect timing. You don't need to be wealthy, free of all burdens, or ready to begin. Kindness is something you can choose right now, exactly where you are. Even if you are grieving, lost, or struggling, a single act of kindness opens a door to light. When you choose positive action in a negative state, you take control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. You're not only helping someone else, you are also rescuing yourself. When you begin to live with this mindset, something extraordinary happens. Life responds. You start attracting better relationships, timely opportunities, and a deep, unshakable peace because you have become a source of good. And nature never forgets those who plant with love. Those who sow kindness may lose things on the outside, but their inner world remains undefeated. Remember this: happy people are not the ones with the fewest problems. They are the ones with the most open hearts. Every kind act you do, even in silence, shapes the quality of your soul. And when the soul is vast enough, no storm can shake it. You don't need high walls for protection, because your heart itself has become a fortress, built brick by brick with countless unseen acts of love. Be kind not only for others but for yourself. Each time, you choose love over criticism, help over indifference, understanding over judgment. You are shaping a self you can be proud of. A real human being, not a perfect one, but one who is deeply alive. The truth is, life isn't too complicated. We are the ones who build the complexity and then wonder why we're exhausted. Every day we add things we don't need. Relationships we maintain out of politeness. Possessions we buy out of fear. Commitments we accept because we can't say no. Expectations we carry just to keep others happy. Piece by piece. These things pile up until there's no space left to breathe, to listen, or to simply be. And then we ask why we feel drained when we lack nothing. The answer is in the excess. Simplicity isn't about having less. It's about having enough and only what's essential. It's the conscious choice to let go of what no longer serves your inner growth, so that space remains for what truly matters. Living simply doesn't mean poverty or lack of ambition. It's actually a refined form of richness. Rich in clarity, rich in energy, rich in connection with what's real. When you are no longer pulled by things that don't belong to you, you begin to feel the depth of every moment. A tidy room lets you breathe easier. A calm schedule frees your mind. A few true friends free you from pretending. A meaningful job makes you feel you're contributing, not just earning. These small things, when chosen with intention, form the foundation of a deeply fulfilling life. The quality of life isn't in the number of experiences, but in the depth of each experience. Those who live simply know what belongs to them and what doesn't. They don't waste energy on meaningless races. They don't measure their worth through comparisons. They don't let media tell them how to live. They step out of the cycle of consumption, leave behind hollow competitions, and turn inward to find quiet clarity. In a world that glorifies business, those who choose to slow down are the brave ones. In a society that worships materialism, those who choose simplicity are the truly strong. Simplicity requires courage because it asks you to reject what the majority calls necessary. It's not for those who are unsure of what they truly want. Simplicity doesn't mean you have no ambition. It means you've clarified which ambitions are truly yours and which were borrowed from others. It doesn't mean hiding from the world. It means stepping into it with lightness, calm, and authenticity. When you're no longer enslaved by endless desires, you begin to notice beauty in the smallest things. The song of a morning bird, sunlight streaming through the window, a conversation without judgment, an evening spent with just yourself, a book, and silence. These simple moments are some of the deepest medicines for the soul. Those who live simply understand that the mind can only go deep when it's not crowded with endless trivial choices. They know how to pause, how to cut out the unnecessary, how to say no, and how to give their time only to what truly matters. They don't live by the instinct to consume or collect, but like artists who carefully choose each stroke on the canvas of their lives, rejecting anything that dulls the clarity of the soul. Living simply is a quiet kind of freedom. You no longer live under the weight of others' expectations. You don't need to prove yourself or show off to feel seen. You no longer carry roles that don't belong to you. And in that uncluttered space, you begin to discover depth. When the mind is no longer busy with distractions, you finally see what's inside. When the heart is quiet, you can hear the voice of your deepest self, the place where true meaning lives. People who live deeply don't need many words. Their presence alone speaks. They don't rush, yet every step they take is steady and sure. They don't seek to impress anyone. They live in alignment with something higher, something real. And it all begins with one simple choice: to prefer simplicity over complexity, substance over show, depth over fleeting recognition. If you feel lost, pause and take a look around. Maybe your life is so full of noise and excess that there's no room left for you. Maybe what you need isn't more, but less. Less worrying about being enough, and more asking, what is enough for me? Less chasing others and more coming home to yourself. Less investing in what is flashy and more in what is lasting. Presence, gratitude, honest connection, and undistracted moments. The present moment is the only thing you can fully hold. Most of our suffering comes not from what's happening now, but from what already happened or what might happen. The mind is either dragged back into regret, guilt, and old stories, or pulled into the fog of worry, fear, and expectation. And while it's busy wandering, the present moment, this priceless piece of life, slips away unnoticed. Presence is not an abstract idea. It is the foundation of a truly awakened life. When you are present, you feel each breath, each emotion, and each subtle glance in another's eyes. When you are present, you don't just exist, you inhabit your life. Yet, many people live as if waiting for a future moment to finally start living. They postpone joy until their career is secure, until they earn more money, until things are perfect. They keep living for the future without ever asking, what is my present moment like? But if you can't fully live today, then even when tomorrow arrives, you'll still be chasing another illusion. Fulfillment doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from the ability to fully feel what is here now. Being present doesn't mean sitting still or avoiding thoughts of the future. It's about having the courage to face life as it is without turning away. When you wash dishes, just wash dishes. When someone speaks to you, truly listen. When you walk, feel your feet on the ground. Presence is lost when the body is in one place, but the mind is elsewhere. A parent hugging their child while thinking of deadlines. A friend talking while their eyes stay glued to a screen. That's when life feels disconnected, thin, and without meaning. Those who practice presence live slowly, but surely. They may not speak much or do many things, but everything they do has weight and value. They don't let emotions rule them. They observe their minds like watching the sky, sometimes bright, sometimes stormy, but always knowing they are not the weather. They are the vast sky beyond it. Presence is what allows them to stop living as victims and instead become creators of their own life experience. You don't need to wait for meditation or silence to practice presence. It begins in the smallest daily actions. When you eat, chew slowly and taste fully. When you speak to someone, look into their eyes as if nothing else matters. When you breathe, notice its depth, its rhythm. You don't need to add more to your life. Simply remove the noise. Then you'll see that each moment is already whole and complete. Those who lack presence often feel life slipping by, leaving little behind. They haven't truly lived each day, only passed through time as if they were a background character in their own story. But when you are present, time slows. You notice every expression, every word, every tiny sensation because you are fully there. Not just in body but in spirit. Presence deepens every connection. It adds richness to emotions and allows you to taste life with all your senses. No one can be present every moment, but every time you notice you've drifted, that awareness itself is a return. You come back to yourself, back to the only place where life truly happens. This moment, whole and unshaken. Each time you return, you're training a quiet muscle, the muscle of awareness. Like any practice, it grows stronger with time. If you want to live more meaningfully, don't look far. Begin with just 1 minute of true presence. 1 minute without screens. 1 minute of slow, deep breathing. 1 minute of looking into the eyes of someone you love, without rushing or judging. Just 1 minute and you'll remember. The only moment you truly own is now. Master that, you master life itself, one heartbeat at a time. Happiness is not a gift from the outside, nor something others can give or take. It is born from within, from how you think, feel, and respond. Everything around you has power only if you allow it. Once you see this clearly, you reclaim what was always yours. Your inner peace, your wholeness. Some people smile even in the middle of chaos. Not because they're pretending, but because they've built a safe space inside. Untouched by storms. They don't depend on other people's moods or approval. Nor do they let circumstances define their worth. They've learned a truth that takes many years to realize. All emotions come from within, not from the outside world. If your happiness is rooted inside, nothing external can destroy it. You may lose money, status, or relationships, but you won't lose yourself. But if your joy depends on praise, attention, or approval, you'll live like a leaf in the wind. One rejection or careless glance can shatter your peace. This isn't numbness, it's strength. The kind that isn't shaken by life's noise. The inner journey isn't about searching for something new, but clearing away what clouds your true self. Old wounds, harsh expectations, and the voices of self-criticism. These layers of noise make you forget that happiness has always been waiting within, ready to appear the moment you choose it. You don't need the world's permission to feel joy. You don't need someone else to validate your worth. You only need to choose differently, starting from within. Inner happiness isn't about denying pain. It's about standing tall even when pain is there. It's the ability to face every emotion, anger, sorrow, fear, without letting it define you. A mature person isn't someone who's always positive, but someone who can create light in their darkest moments. And that ability is a skill built slowly through self-awareness, compassion, and how you speak to yourself every day. No one else can walk this path for you. Others can inspire, support, or accompany you. But the journey back to your inner strength is one only you can take. And when you begin, you'll see you are far stronger than you ever imagined. You don't need to search far for happiness. It doesn't require perfection or waiting for the right time. It simply requires that you remember it, choose it, and hold it no matter what life throws at you. A happy life doesn't mean a life without hardships. It means that even in hardship, you don't lose gratitude, faith, or the ability to smile at small things. You don't lose the softness in your heart toward those you love, even when under pressure. This is the quiet strength of those who live from within. And once you touch that strength, nothing outside can take away what's truly yours. You cannot control the world, but you can learn to guide your inner world. And that is what separates those who drift through life from those who live with intention. The ones who drift are always waiting for someday for things to finally be okay. The ones who live deliberately know that things become okay the moment you are okay inside. Happiness isn't a treasure you must chase. It was never lost. It's still there in your breath, your thoughts, your small daily actions. You only forgot it while chasing what others told you to want. But you can return to it at any moment. All it takes is one pause, one inward look, and one simple, honest question. What makes life feel worth living right now? And if you let that answer guide you, you will already be home. If you are still here reading these words, type positive mindset in the comments. If you're committed to seeing life differently with clarity and courage, so I know you are one of the few who truly get it, that you are ready to live with intention, to grow without waiting for permission, to stop wishing and start building a life that feels true to you. Remember, only you decide how limitless you are. Thank you.